The rain was falling softly on the small village, washing the dust from the narrow streets. A boy named Daniel sat quietly outside his little wooden house. He was only 12 years old, but his eyes carried the weight of someone much older. His clothes were torn, and his shoes were broken, but his mind was filled with dreams that no storm could take away. Daniel's family was poor. His father worked in the fields every day, earning just enough money for food. His mother stayed at home, trying to keep the house warm and safe. Life was not easy, but Daniel always believed that one day, things would change. From a very young age, Daniel loved books. He would collect old newspapers and magazines that people threw away. Sometimes, the teacher from the nearby school gave him used notebooks. Daniel read every word he could find. He wanted to learn, he wanted to grow, and most of all, he wanted to escape the pain of poverty. But not everyone understood him. Other children laughed at Daniel. "Why do you waste time reading old books?" they teased. "You will always be poor. Nothing will change." Daniel never answered them. Instead, he smiled and continued reading under the streetlight at night when electricity at his home was gone. His heart whispered to him, "Hope is stronger than pain." One evening, Daniel's father came home late. His hands were bleeding from hard work, and his face looked tired. He sat down on the floor and said, "Daniel, you are growing up. Soon, you will have to work with me in the fields. Books will not feed the family." Daniel looked at his father with respect and love. He knew his father was right, but deep inside, he could not give up his dream. "Father," he said softly, "one day, I will work, but I also want to study. If I learn, maybe I can help our family in a better way." His father sighed. He did not believe much in education, but he saw the fire in his son's eyes. He did not argue anymore. The next day, Daniel decided to go to the school nearby. He walked without shoes, carrying a torn bag. He waited outside the gate, watching other children with clean uniforms and shiny shoes. He felt small, but his courage pushed him forward. He went to the headmaster and said, "Sir, I want to study here. I don't have money, but I will work. Please give me a chance." The headmaster looked at him for a long moment. Then he smiled. "You remind me of myself when I was young," he said. "Come tomorrow. You can clean the classrooms after school, and in return, you may study here." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. It was the first door of hope opening in his life. From that day on, Daniel worked hard. He swept the floors, cleaned the desks, and then sat down with his books. He listened carefully in class, even when other students laughed at his old clothes. He ignored their words. He told himself, "One day, they will understand." But life still tested him. His mother fell ill, and there was no money for medicine. His father became weaker with each passing day. Many times, Daniel thought of leaving school to work full-time. The pain in his heart grew heavy, but every night, when he read a page of his book under the flickering lamp, he found strength again. One winter night, something unforgettable happened. Daniel was returning from school when he saw an old man sitting by the road. The man looked sick and hungry. Without thinking, Daniel gave him the only bread he had saved for himself. The man looked at Daniel with kind eyes and said, "Son, you may be poor in your pocket, but you are rich in your heart. Never lose this kindness. One day, it will bring you a future brighter than you imagine." Those words stayed with Daniel. Pain was still around him, poverty, sickness, and loneliness, but hope started to grow stronger. Inside him, he studied harder. He wrote notes, solved problems, and asked questions fearlessly. His teachers began to notice his brilliance. Even the children who once laughed at him grew silent when they saw his results. Daniel's story was just beginning. He did not yet know how much pain he would face, nor how much hope would lift him. But deep in his young soul, he carried a secret, the belief that even in the darkest night, a small light can shine and guide the way forward. The years passed slowly, but Daniel never gave up. Every morning he worked in the fields with his father before school, and every evening he cleaned classrooms to earn his place in education. His body was tired, but his mind was alive. His teachers often said, "This boy is different. He is made for something greater." Still, life was not easy. His mother's health grew worse. Sometimes Daniel had to run to the small clinic in the village, praying they would give medicine on credit. He often skipped his meals so his younger sister could eat. Yet, whenever he felt broken, he whispered to himself, "Hope is stronger than pain." One day, the school announced a scholarship exam. The winner would be allowed to study in the city, free of cost. Daniel's heart jumped. This was his chance. But doubt also whispered in his ear, "What if you fail? What if you are not good enough?" That night, Daniel sat under the old streetlight with his torn notebook. His father saw him shivering in the cold and said, "Daniel, why do you push yourself so hard? What if the world doesn't change for us?" Daniel smiled gently. "Father, maybe the world will not change for everyone. But if I change myself, maybe I can change the world for you, for Mother, and for my sister." The scholarship exam day arrived. Daniel walked miles to reach the town where the test was held. Students from rich families came with shiny pens and heavy bags. Daniel had only one pencil and a small notebook. But he also had determination. He wrote with all his heart. He answered every question. When he returned home, his father asked anxiously, "How was it?" Daniel replied, "I don't know, Father. But I gave my best." Weeks passed. Daniel almost lost hope. Then, one morning, the postman came running to their little house. "Daniel," he shouted, "a letter for you from the city." Daniel's hands shook as he opened the letter. His eyes filled with tears, tears of joy. He had won the scholarship. He was going to the city to study. His father hugged him tightly. His mother cried softly, her weak hands touching his face. "Go, my son," she whispered. "Live the life we could not. Make your pain a bridge to hope." Leaving his family behind was not easy. The city was bigger and brighter than anything he had ever seen. Tall buildings, busy roads, and endless people surrounded him. But Daniel kept his focus. He studied with hunger in his heart, always remembering his small village, his sick mother, and his tired father. There were times when he felt alone. Sometimes, other students laughed at his accent, his old clothes, and his simple ways. But Daniel did not fight them. He only smiled and kept working. He had learned long ago that silence and persistence were stronger than anger. Slowly, his teachers began to notice his brilliance. He became one of the top students in his class. He joined debates, solved difficult problems, and even began helping other students who struggled. His kindness spread, just like the old man on the road once told him. But then came the darkest night of his life. One evening, as he was preparing for his final exams, he received a message from the village. His mother had passed away. Daniel dropped the book from his hands. His chest felt heavy, his eyes burning with grief. He returned to the village, his heart broken. Seeing his father's tears crushed him even more. For days, he could not study. He asked himself, what is the meaning of success if the people you love are not here to see it? But then he remembered his mother's last words, "Make your pain a bridge to hope." He wiped his tears and returned to the city. With his heart full of sorrow, he pushed himself even harder. Years later, Daniel finished his education with distinction. He received a scholarship to study even further, and soon, he became a respected doctor. His dream had come true, not just for himself, but for everyone who once told him he could not. When he returned to his village, the same children who once laughed at him now greeted him with respect. Parents pointed to him and said to their sons and daughters, "Look at Daniel. He is proof that pain does not destroy you, it prepares you." Daniel built a small clinic in the village so no family would suffer like his mother did without medicine. He helped poor children go to school, just like someone once helped him. His father, though old and weak, looked at his son with pride and said, "You were right, Daniel. You changed the world, for us, and for many others." Daniel smiled, his heart filled with peace. His life had been full of pain, but also full of hope. He realized something powerful. Pain teaches you strength, and hope teaches you to keep walking, even when the road is dark. And so, Daniel's story became an inspiration. He was no longer the poor boy with torn shoes. He was a man who carried scars of the past but turned them into lights for the future. Because in the end, his mother was right, pain can break you, but if you hold on to hope, it can also build you into someone unshakable.